Hi, I'm Rebecca from SYN Media, and we provide broadcast opportunities and media training for young Australians. All our content is made by young people for young people. Thanks to Melbourne Council for inviting us to share an isolation creation.
Hi, I'm Hayley, and through these series of videos, we are going to be taking you through the basics, from creating an initial idea or picking a topic to what you need to record and to produce your podcast. In today's isolation creation, the SYN Media learning team will be taking you through how to pick a topic for your podcast.
So let's talk about the basics. Put simply, a podcast is audio-based, so we're not talking about vloggers or YouTube. It needs the internet to be able to be streamed and downloaded, and unlike radio, the listener has the ability to pause, rewind, or skip ahead. You can think of a podcast being a bit like chapters of a book, so each episode might cover a certain theme or topic under a broader theme. The really cool thing about podcasts is you can cover refined, niche, really specific topics, so you'll be able to see many weird and wonderful podcasts out there. The great thing about podcasts are they're a medium to be able to tell stories, hear different points of view, learn about interests and hobbies. You can transport listeners to other worlds. You can debunk complex topics, talk about personal experiences, and share worldviews. Podcasts fit into styles and genres. You might not have worked that out yet, and that's okay. But just like film and TV, picking a genre may make it easier for you to plan.
Podcasts fit into many different styles and genres and fall under many different themes. Themes like pop culture. Song Exploder is a podcast where musicians take apart their songs and piece by piece tell the story of how they were made. Society and culture, mostly lit, exploring the intersection between literature, wellness, and pop culture. Pretty for an Aboriginal are conversations about relationships, dating, power, and race. Storytelling. All the Best is a podcast that showcases Australian storytelling by young radio makers through documentaries, interviews, personal narratives, and fiction. Another example is This American Life, which contents varies by episode. Stories are told as first-person narratives, and the tone ranges from thought-provoking to humorous. There are so many more podcasts that are out there in the world, and these are just a few examples. So go out and explore. And look at all those genres, from advice to debating, discussion, informative, vox pops, games and quizzes. There are so many different styles and tones that you can consider when putting together your podcast. It's always best to choose a genre or style that you are comfortable with or that you feel is going to convey your story the best. Why listen or make a podcast? Not only are podcasts greatly entertaining, they're also highly educational. Podcasts provide insight into the world that we live in through conversation and storytelling. The beauty of podcasts too is that they vary greatly with so many different niche topics. Podcasts are also extremely easy to access, whether you're on the go, doing exercise, doing your chores, or even just lounging around at home. One of the most motivating factors for creating a podcast is that you could be the first to make a podcast about a chosen topic that you're passionate about. You get to share your views, your passions, interests with people all around the world. It's a really fantastic platform.
Let's talk about some of the qualities of a good podcast. You might have an idea already, but you also might need to spend some time brainstorming what your interests and hobbies are. When picking a topic, think, what do you want the world to know more about? Or maybe there's an issue you don't see discussed elsewhere in the media. It's important to pick a topic that you're really interested in. The more engaged and well-researched you are on a topic, the more engaged your listeners will be. You might not know everything about your topic to begin with, and that's okay. Just be open to asking questions and digging deeper with research. We'll have more tips on this in our later videos. Some other things to consider are having a clear, catchy title. You might want to do a play on words. Just make sure it doesn't exist already so it's easily searchable. Think about your intended audience and be really specific. Go deeper than just their age, gender, and location. You can get really specific in podcasts. Overall, your engaging presentation style is really important. You don't want to sound like a robot and you want to keep it conversational. So don't feel like you need to script your podcast word for word.
Now that you know what makes a good podcast and that your podcast could be anything from sharing work views, telling stories, transporting your listeners to other worlds, debunking complex topics, or simply talking about your interests and hobbies, what's next? Podcasts are a series of episodes, so each episode should be specifically looking at something to do with your overall topic. You want to make sure that you have a clear beginning, middle, and end. You want to tie up any loose ends and you want your listener to be able to follow through clearly. You could think of it like a book. Your book is your podcast, and each chapter within that book are your episodes. You want to be specifically focusing on something that you've chosen to talk about. Overall, when picking a podcast topic, you want to make sure that you're informed and passionate. Think about what your listener is going to get out of listening to your podcast. How do you want them to learn, feel, and react to your topic? There are also so many styles and genres of podcasts to choose from, but you want to make sure that the style or genre that you pick is something that you're comfortable with and will convey the message that you're going to be discussing. Keep an eye out for the videos that we have coming up in our isolation creation. Next up, we'll be talking about how to plan your podcast production. We'll also go over recording remotely and how to set up a DIY studio from home and how to source sounds and some editing tips. Thanks.